Final item of business today is a members' business debate on motion number S4M-05783 in the name of Gordon MacDonald on Dad's Rock first anniversary. This debate will be concluded without any questions being put, and I invite members who wish to speak in this debate to press the request to speak buttons now or as soon as possible. Mr MacDonald, I would like to call on you now to open the debate. 7 minutes, please.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. Before I begin, I have to declare an interest in Dad's Rock as I am unpaid trustee of this new Scottish charity based here in Edinburgh and started in my constituency. Can I also thank the 40 MSPs who supported this motion, giving it cross-party support and allowing this debate to take place today. Dad's Rock began as an idea back in October 2011 when David Marshall and Thomas Lynch, who have young children of their own, realised how little there was locally for dads to have some one-to-one time with their young children. So, rather than just moan about the lack of provision, they decided they would combine David's interest in music with Thomas's experience as a postnatal depression counsellor and create a support service which is a fun, positive and rocking playgroup for dads and their kids in Edinburgh. And David Marshall, one of the founders of Dad's Rock, and some of the fathers that attend their playgroup are in the gallery tonight. David and Thomas launched the first group on the 11th of February 2012 thanks to a £3,000 grant from the Big Lottery Fund. Gate 55 in the Sighthill area of my constituency provided space to hold the weekly group on Saturday mornings. Every week there are around 30 dads and kids under 5 attending, with nearly a third of those fathers being new Scots from Poland. Dad's Rock provides a whole range of activities for children under the age of 5, including playtime, painting and drawing, snack time, story time and music. Music is very important to David and Thomas, hence the name Dad's Rock. They sing traditional playgroup songs and end with the Queen classic We Will Rock You, where dads sing the words and their kids play along with every conceivable toy musical instrument, including a mini drum kit, and it ends in a crescendo of noise like any good rock concert should. It soon became apparent that dads and their kids were travelling from across Edinburgh to attend the Sighthill group, and so the second playgroup was launched by the Minister Aileen Campbell on the 27th of October 2012 in the Granton area of Edinburgh, thanks again to a grant from the Lottery Fund. It also runs on a Saturday morning and on average has around 20 dads coming along every week. However, Dad's Rock's not just a playgroup, it is also a place for dads to come and speak to other fathers about being a dad. Providing that peer support is just as important as providing a safe, comfortable place where fathers can play with their children. Nobody gives you a manual on how to raise children, and everyone wants to do the best for their kids. But many fathers also worry about the extra pressures that come from having children, whether it's financial, increased responsibilities or just the lack of sleep. Therefore, there is a need for somewhere fathers can discuss family-related issues. Then there are those fathers who are separated or divorced and struggling to maintain contact with their children. The welfare reform changes introduced by the UK Government are making a bad situation worse. Fathers who are in receipt of housing benefit are losing up to 25% of that benefit as a result of the bedroom tax changes, even if they have overnight contact for their children. It cannot be right that children no longer have a bedroom in their parents' home as a result of fathers being forced to downsize. There is also the attitude of some social workers, health visitors, nursery staff and primary teachers who would appear to have an implicit prejudice against fathers in relation to their ability to care for their children. If we are serious about getting it right for every child, then we have to also change how some of these individuals involved in statutory services think of the role of fathers and begin to treat them as equals in their role as carers. But Dad's Rock's not just about providing that support mechanism. As Thomas Lynch said to me, we all just want to give our children the best to ensure they feel loved and cared for, be able to play with them and have some one-to-one time which are both vital to their development. Children can get so much from their dads, and I know from personal experience we get so much from being with them and looking at the world through their eyes. Presiding Officer, in their first year, David and Thomas have established the first playgroup in Sighthill, 6 months after coming up with the concept, then expanded 6 months later to the Granton area. They obtained charity status on the 21st of March this year, 13 months after opening. Gate 55 has now proven to be too small, and earlier this year the original group moved to larger premises at Whale Arch. And yet, despite creating and growing a new charity, there is no rest for the founders, David and Thomas. The interest from dads, the media and the general public in Dad's Rock has been so great that they are launching soon the third playgroup in Dunfermline. In conjunction with Fife Gingerbread, they have secured funding for a male playgroup facilitator, the charity's first employee, and he is tasked with scouring Dunfermline for the ideal venue. They have also had inquiries from the Glasgow area and are investigating the possibility of another playgroup under the Dad's Rock banner. David and Thomas have so much commitment and enthusiasm for Dad's Rock that they're already thinking about how they can expand their musical playgroup to other fathers who have children older than the under 5 age group. Dad's Rock Academy, in association with Edinburgh College, will be starting in October for older children at the Sighthill campus. This innovative project will again be the only one of its kind, offering free music tuition and a free musical instrument to local kids and dads. David said to me before this debate, we know that kids get so much from music, it helps to build their confidence and give better outcomes for them. So it makes sense to continue the musical theme, have some fun, support dads and carry on rocking. For 2014, the aim to take Dad's Rock to prison, as approximately 50% of dads lose contact with their families when they go to prison. They want to change that. Young teenage dads are another group that needs support, and they are investigating if there is a way that Dad's Rock can, in a school setting, help to support them. Presiding Officer, the last year has been one of fantastic achievement for this new charity, thanks to the drive of the two founders, David Marshall and Thomas Lynch. They believe that every part of Scotland needs Dad's Rock, and I'm sure they'll keep on rocking until it's achieved. Thanks.
Many thanks. And I now call on Malcolm Chisholm to be followed by David Torrance. 4 minutes,
Officer, I'd like to congratulate Gordon MacDonald for introducing this debate and welcome the representatives of Dad's Rock to the gallery. As Gordon MacDonald has already told us, Dad's Rock is the brainchild of fathers Thomas Lynch and David Marshall, who, while bringing up their young children in Sighthill, noticed how little there was by way of resources tailored specifically towards fathers. Their first playgroup, started in 2012, just over a year ago, sought to rectify this situation, and over the past year they have opened a second for fathers in Granton, and planning is underway at present for a third facility in Fife to be run in conjunction with Fife Gingerbread. And I was pleased to mention that in the recent debate on Fife Gingerbread, and of course the Minister talked about it then as well. I should also, of course, remind people that Granton is in my own constituency, and I only regret that Dad's Rock meets on a Saturday morning, which coincides exactly with my weekly surgery, so I have been unable to attend. Who knows, if it was at another time, I might even bring one of my grandchildren along, if that was allowed. After a little research into the relatively short history of Dad's Rock, it's very easy to find positive testimonies from mothers as well as fathers. And if I just quote from two separate mothers, one mother said, "My partner and daughter just returned from Dad's Rock and had a ball. I think my daughter was a bit overwhelmed at first, being her first time with Daddy in a new place, but he said she got right into it in the end, and everyone had fun. Thanks so much, Dad's Rock." And another mother said, "My son absolutely loves this group, especially playing the drums and rocking out with his friends on the guitars. And it's great that he gets some one-to-one time with his dad, while I get 2 hours to myself." So clearly the main advantage is for the children and fathers, but it is also actually of great advantage to the mothers, and it's actually in the interests of mothers and indeed women in general that fathers get more involved in childcare, and I'm sure we would all support that objective, and that of course is exactly what the objective that Dad's Rock is trying to promote. Now, the ambition of these two enterprising fathers hasn't slowed over the past year. The children enjoy regular visits into the community. For example, they recently organised a trip to the National Museum, where a group of 30 children and 25 fathers enjoyed making masks, telling stories and taking part in a raucous song time. Music and creativity feature highly in the priorities of Dad's Rock, as Gordon MacDonald has already told us. Music is one way of improving both emotional development and the intellect, and the organisation has indicated that they will launch a scheme in October of this year that will ensure free tuition for children and fathers through a new academy based at the Edinburgh College Sighthill campus. Many children go through their school years without access to one-to-one tuition, and such a facility could help to spark their interest in taking up an instrument, gaining a lifelong skill. As Thomas and Dad state in their recent blog post, and I quote here, "The benefits of kids learning music are well known. It improves social skills, increases confidence, helps them to focus and helps the brain to develop." What better way to do this than in an encouraging academic environment with their fathers on hand to take part and cheer on their successes? The Academy will offer free weekly music tuition to local children aged 5 to 16 years. It will be open to kids and dads from Edinburgh and the surrounding area. The Academy will offer places to roughly 10 to 15 children and their fathers, offering a free musical instrument and weekly tuition. The college will provide the facilities and tutors from their student body, thus benefiting those studying music in further education. Participation in the Academy will become part of the curriculum, adding another dimension to the students' CVs. Best of all, at the end of term in June, the students will stage a show for families and friends, allowing them to showcase the skills they have learned and providing an opportunity for them to receive the praise and encouragement they need to keep going. So I think now my time is up. It is clear to everyone what an amazing amount the two fathers and the wider group have achieved in less than 2 years. So I would like to wish them well in all the ventures that they undertake and congratulate them on what they've done, as well as repeating my congratulations to Gordon MacDonald.
Thank you very much. And I now call on David Torrance to be followed by Gavin Brown.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. I would like to congratulate Gordon MacDonald for bringing this motion to Parliament today in recognition of the first anniversary of Dad's Rock. The organisation was started in February 2012 in Sighthill in Edinburgh, offering 3 weekly sessions for fathers and their children to allow them to spend quality time together, interacting and enjoying themselves. Despite it being only a year old, the project is going from strength to strength and continuing to gather momentum. This evidence from the second group that has been started in Edinburgh and the plans for the project to expand in Fife. Dad's Rock is the brainchild of Thomas Lynch and David Marshall and came about from discussions between them and how few services were available in Edinburgh for fathers and their children. The group promote positive measures that will allow fathers to create stronger bonds with their children through play and other activities. It helps them to add new dimensions to their role, especially when they are often unable to be with their children on a daily basis. Unfortunately, there are many fathers in Scotland who miss out spending quality time with their children, and as research has shown, this can often have a detrimental effect to varying degrees on a child's development. It is for that reason that I welcome Dad's Rock's project, which is hoping to be up and running in Fife in May 2013. This project will be based in Dunfermline, in an area which features quite high in the Scottish Index of Multiple Deprivation, and where dads in particular can find themselves socially isolated. They face difficulty in being able to engage in an array of activities currently on offer to parents, which are mainly, although unintentionally, female-dominated and driven. Dads are often underrepresented in many of the family activities which are available, as agencies are unable to cater for and adapt to the needs of fathers and their children. Fife Ginger Bed, which was established for 25 years and supports local communities and families across Fife, will model a project in partnership with Dad's Rock, which has already been established in Edinburgh. It will be funded by the Big Lottery and the Carnegie Trust and will be part of Getting It Right for Every Child and will be linked to the Early Years Strategy Group, which is a multi-agency partnership. The funding received from others and raised by Dad's Rock himself also helps him to provide a variety of shared activities and experiences for fathers and children. These range from visits to museums, days out, parties, playgroups and the Music Academy. Music plays an important part in their organisation. This is evident by a playgroup song at the end of their meetings and the concluding song of We Will Rock You by Queen, and by a Dad's Rock Academy logo, which is a guitar at its centre. As a father myself, I can appreciate the importance of music in helping to bond with your children. When my son was young, I used to play guitar to him while he was having a bath. He must have enjoyed it, because as he grew older, he took this up himself. And at 22, he is now quite accomplished on the guitar, surpassing his father's capabilities. But we still spend many evenings together, playing our own guitars and enjoying each other's company. Rhoda from Fife Gingerbread, having found this out, has invited me along to play at some of the groups, and I am looking forward to doing this. Presiding Officer, I would once again like to take the opportunity to congratulate Dad's Rock, along with Thomas Lynch and David Marshall, and the many other volunteers who are involved, on initiating and developing such a successful project. I would hope that its success will be recognised by many other areas throughout Scotland, where needed will be taken on board by them. If it is, it will provide dads with a greater access to and a chance to become more involved in the wide variety of activities and meetings offered by Dad's Rock. Ultimately, this will help to improve the well-being of both fathers and the children by giving them more opportunities for interaction with their peers, and should help them to form deeper and more meaningful relationships with their children. In conclusion, I would like to say that Dad's Rock is best summed up by acronym used by David Marshall and Thomas Lynch. FPR, fun, positive and rocking.
Thank you very much. I now call on Gavin Brown to be followed by Graham Day.
Thank you, Deputy Presiding Officer. I am very happy to speak on behalf of the Scottish Conservatives in this debate. And let me begin by congratulating Gordon MacDonald, firstly on lodging the motion, which I was very happy to sign, and secondly on securing this debate, which I think is a very good debate to have this evening. Let me also congratulate Dad's Rock on what they have achieved in a very short space of time. The founders who set it up and drove it forward, the volunteers who help it to happen on a regular basis, and of course the dads and kids who go along every week and make up effectively what is Dad's Rock. They have, I think, and we've heard from previous speakers, they have achieved an amazing amount in terms of setting up the first free musical playgroup for dads and setting up a second one opened by the Minister, with plans for a third one and more. And all at the same time, creating a fun and positive environment. But I think what is most remarkable of all is the fact that this has been achieved in such a short space of time. If the first one went live in February of last year, it means that in a mere 15 months or so, all of this has been achieved, with, I suspect, much more to come. It was interesting hearing Gordon MacDonald in his opening talking about how Dad's Rock actually started. How many conversations have taken place elsewhere in the country of people complaining about something, perhaps even people talking specifically about how little there was in Edinburgh for dads to do, yet nothing comes of it at all. But because of a combination of David Marshall and Thomas Lynch having a specific skill set, whether it's in relation to music or experience as a postnatal depression counsellor, combined with the fact that they were just determined to drive it forward, something I think unique and specific has happened. Many people will have had conversations at various points, but very few take them forward. And I think clearly there are lessons for all of us in what has happened with Dad's Rock over a very, very short space of time. In looking through their blog and I think their Facebook page, what I think I'm struck most by is just how proactive they have been and continue to be. We have several groups operating already, with more on the way. I read about an entry in the Facebook page about them going out leafleting in Granton. So instead of waiting and hoping that people show up, physically going out, putting letters through mailboxes to encourage people to come along and to let them know that events are happening. Proactive in terms of the exhibitions that they've been involved in here at the Scottish Parliament on at least one occasion and elsewhere, and proactive, I think, in their involvement in Fathers Network Scotland, among other various groups. They seem to be extremely determined to take things forward. Deputy Presiding Officer, I look forward to hearing what the Minister has to say in response to this. Does she propose ending this session with a chorus of "We Will Rock You" or something similar? And I have to confess I'm struggling to get the image out of my head of Aileen Campbell playing the drums on the Facebook page, currently on the Dad's Rock website. But let me conclude, Presiding Officer. I think it's been a very, very interesting and exciting 15 months for Dad's Rock, but I rather suspect the next 15 months will be even more interesting and even more exciting, and I wish them all the very best in the next year and after that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we now rock on with Graham Day, to be followed by Alison Johnson.
Thank you. I must admit, Presiding Officer, that in swatting up on Dad's Rock ahead of this debate, I had slight pangs of jealousy. I wouldn't have minded having the opportunity to be part of this when my children were younger. Back when my oldest was of preschool age, my wife had the opportunity to take her along to a mothers and toddlers group, the title offering an indication of the extent to which fathers were welcome to participate. And more recently, albeit 14 years ago, when my son started attending preschool nursery, I still recall feeling slightly uncomfortable when taking my turn and getting him there and prepared for the class, owing to the fact there weren't too many other dads around. Back then, where we lived, there was nothing aimed at dads and kids, or offering the kind of organised activities for dads and their offspring that Dad's Rock does. Now, I wouldn't pretend to be an expert on how times may have changed generally in this regard, but a recent constituency engagement did leave me thinking the answer is maybe not as much as we would like. A few weeks ago, I attended a book bug session in Arbroath Library. These are aimed at under fives, with parents or carers invited to bring children along for songs, rhymes, puppets and movement. Admittedly, it was a toddlers class that I visited, but out of the 20 or so children there, not one was accompanied by their father or even a grandfather. So it really is great to learn of an organisation such as this, which exists to nurture the relationship between kids and dads, especially one where the emphasis seems to be on a variety of activities. And I give credit to my colleague Gordon MacDonald for bringing forward a members' debate to highlight its work. What Dad's Rock achieves is perhaps best summed up by a newspaper article in which Philip Stephen, one of a number of Polish fathers who attends, said of what it provides him and his 3-year-old daughter Tessia: "We bonded better than before. It has improved the father-daughter relationship. I'm a working father. It's only us for a few hours." Presiding Officer, there are families where the extent of the engagement between dads and their kids is very limited, in some cases restricted to the children being brainwashed from a very early age into following the football team their father supports, and then dragged along week in, week out, for what some might say amounts to an exercise in child cruelty. I know I sentenced my son to a lifetime of embarrassment and misery by raising him as an Aberdeen fan. But there is more to quality time between dads and their kids as they get older than going to the football or playing golf or going to the pictures, as the Dad's Rock activity programme and their ambitions demonstrates. I was interested to note that the organisation's first outing of 2013 was to the National Museum. I visited that with my own kids and had a ball, and judging by the pics on Dad Rock's website, so did the 30 kids and 25 dads who took part. But one question, if I may, though, for the representatives of the organisation who are here today: could someone explain to me what was behind one of the dads sporting a Red Indian Chief's headdress throughout the day? Now, I know Dad's Rock are into music, but as there was no sign of a motorcycle cop, a construction worker or a cowboy, I am assuming it wasn't village people themed. Dad's Rock appears to have had a pretty successful 2012, delivering 48 sessions attended, all told by 80 dads and 90 youngsters, culminating in a highly successful first ever Christmas party, which it seems that even mums and grandparents were allowed to attend. And it seems to be a case of onwards and upwards, with over 150 dads now being involved in the group, and their recent first birthday celebration has been followed by the securing of charitable status and plans in the pipeline not only to expand the group into Fife next month, but also, I believe, the Strathclyde area further down the line. For 2013, there's visits to the Butterfly and Insect World, the Scottish Seabirds Centre, and BBC at the Edinburgh Festival coming along. But the thing which really caught my eye was the plan that Gordon MacDonald referred to earlier, to launch Dad's Rock Academy later this year. The Academy will, I understand, offer free weekly music tuition to kids aged from 5 all the way up to 16, and of course their dads. It should be absolutely great fun, although a word of warning to the dads: 6 years or so ago, I thought it would be a blast to join my son in learning to play electric guitar. I discovered quite quickly that he had a natural aptitude that he had not inherited from myself, and that teenagers lack any kind of tact or diplomacy in handling such situations and letting their parents down gently. Presiding Officer, can I once again congratulate Gordon MacDonald on bringing forward this debate and wish Dad's Rock every success in their future endeavours.
Many thanks. And I now call on Alison Johnson, after which we will move to the Minister to close the debate.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. I congratulate Gordon MacDonald for securing this debate today, enabling us to celebrate the notable achievements of Dad's Rock, a charity that provides an ever-flourishing support and a lively social scene for fathers and their children. The brainchild of 2 Edinburgh dads, Thomas Lynch and David Marshall, Dad's Rock was their inspired and innovative response to their view that there just wasn't much in Edinburgh specifically for dads and their children. And I was trying to think back to my time on the mother and toddler circuit, a circuit that I found supportive, a circuit that gave structure to the day, and where mums and children alike made friendships that have lasted to this day. And I'm using mothers and mums, as I have to say that I can't ever recall bumping into a dad at one of those groups, although I would have to say you would have been made very welcome indeed. But as often happens, though, it's the people on the ground, those experiencing the lack of a necessary and important service, who take the action to address it. Based in Sighthill, Dad's Rock have expanded into Granton and, as we've heard, currently working on setting up a base in Fife. And for an organisation that's only celebrated one birthday, that is truly impressive. We know that such groups provide a lifeline for many parents. They bring together stay-at-home parents, parents who've gone back to work. These groups bring together people who might never bump into one another in their normal day-to-day routine. Now, the chance to share experiences of parenthood and to compare notes it's absolutely invaluable, just so for fathers as for mothers. I met many women at local toddler groups I attended who remain firm friends to this day. And when one of us had finally had that first full night's sleep, and I should point out it wasn't me, we listened with awe as to how this wonderful achievement was arrived at. And the point is, it's great to learn from people who are experiencing what you're experiencing. And it's important that we make this possible for all the dads in the community too. And looking online prior to this debate as to what sort of access dads have to such clubs, I was more likely to find postings like, "My partner's finding it tough as he doesn't know any other stay-at-home dads." And other postings like, "Some dads go to normal toddler groups." And I think this really highlights the need for a group such as Dad's Rock. Many men do feel uncomfortable at the thought of attending what are still too often thought of as mother and toddler groups. And, of course, this will no doubt change in time. The Telegraph reported in January this year that the number of stay-at-home fathers reached a record high last year. And it's very important that we do make sure dads have access to groups where they feel comfortable and welcome. Dad's Rock, notably, provides opportunities at the weekend, giving dads and their children flexibility and an opportunity to do something different with their children when they're not in school. Dad's Rock Academy, as we've heard, will provide local children with free music tuition. And the well-documented merits of music tuition have been debated at length in this chamber. But the Dad's Rock version will see Dad learn an instrument too. And I think that's a fantastic example of lifelong learning. Dad's Rock First Visit of the Year, as Graham Day touched upon, saw a great gathering of dads and children head to the National Museum. And with membership increasing all the time, I have absolutely no doubt that Dad's Rock will go from strength to strength. In these challenging times, the opportunity Dad's Rock provides are vitally important for dads and their children, no matter what their circumstances. It gives them a place to go, to relax, to play, just to be together. Dad's Rock's social media savvy shows how skilled they are at engaging with the wider community too, and I believe we're going to hear a great deal more of this wonderful project, a model of real community empowerment. Thank you.
Many thanks. I now call on the Minister, Aileen Campbell, to respond on behalf of the Government. Please.
Thank you, Presiding Officer, and thanks to Gordon MacDonald for bringing what's been a really positive debate to the Chamber. And like others, I want to congratulate Dad's Rock and pay tribute to all they have achieved in this last year. And it's good to see them in the Chamber this evening. And I'm pleased to see that following a debate on their Twitter account that David Marshall has chosen to wear his Dad's Rock T-shirt instead of the suit that he thought he might be more appropriate to wear, but it's a good T-shirt. Now, encouraging and supporting fathers to play an active role in their child's upbringing is key if we are to improve the health, well-being and life chances of Scotland's children and young people. And through the National Parent Strategy, which we published in October, we are determined to make sure that parents get the support they need when they need it so that they can do their very best for their children. And the Scottish Government's aspiration for children and young people is a simple but ambitious one. We want Scotland to be the best place in the world for children and young people to grow up. We want Scotland to be a more child-friendly country and a culture which supports all parents and carers. A country, Presiding Officer, which recognises that dads do indeed rock. And no parent should feel isolated or alone. And Alison Johnson rightly points out that families need to feel supported not only by our public services but also by their own families and communities. Groups like Dad's Rock play a crucial role in offering fun activities for dads and their children, but also provides a place for dads to speak to others about being a dad. And this kind of peer support at a local level is empowering and will benefit fathers and their children in so many healthy and positive ways. Now, I believe that it's right for us to have a focus on fathers because dads often, and albeit unintentionally, get cut out of the picture, and that needs to change. In a modern, successful Scotland, we want to encourage and support both parents to play an active role in their children's upbringing. And as Gordon MacDonald and Gavin Brown noted, Dad's Rock is an example of where two dads found there was little support in their local area and decided to do something about it. So they set up their own fun musical playgroup for dads and their children in Sighthill in Edinburgh. And I really do admire and applaud their work and achievement and those of the volunteers who helped deliver the playgroups, for without their passion, many of the dads attending would feel isolated. And I agree with Gavin Brown that many lessons from how proactive this group has been can be learned from it. Now, I had the pleasure of visiting along with my husband and our own wee boy when they opened their new musical group in Granton last year. And it was my son that enjoyed playing the drum kit, and my husband, who is a stay-at-home dad, also enjoyed and got a lot out of meeting with other fathers. And he liked also singing in a key that he could reach at the end of the night, as opposed to some of the keys that he sings in when he's at the mother and toddler groups. And for Gavin Brown, I also promised that this closing speech won't feature me singing We Will Rock You, and I think the rest of the chamber should be quite thankful for that. Now, it was a great experience visiting Dad's Rock, and one that I hope many more dads and their children will take part in and enjoy, and I would thoroughly recommend and encourage Malcolm Chisholm to take his grandchildren along and prove that granddads can rock as well. Now, I'm delighted to hear of the plans outlined by Gordon MacDonald and Malcolm Chisholm to open up a new playgroup in Dunfermline, and that they're looking to establish a Dad's Rock Academy, which aims to provide a year's free music tuition to children and dads in the Sighthill area. Now, Presiding Officer, the Government's aspiration is to make the country the best place in the world to grow up, and the Children and Young People Bill, introduced to Parliament last month, is a step on the journey towards fulfilling our ambition. But legislation is only part of the answer. We know the early years of a child's life are crucial and set the pattern for their future development. Now, we need to improve outcomes and reduce inequalities for all babies, children, mothers, fathers and families across Scotland to ensure that all children have the very best start in life and are ready to succeed. And this is the ambition of our Early Years Collaborative, a multi-agency local quality improvement programme delivered at a national scale, taking forward the vision and priorities of the Early Years Task Force. Now, a second learning session will take place at the end of this month and will provide an opportunity for teaching improvement methodology and also an opportunity for sharing of learning amongst the community planning partnerships. And I'm really pleased and want to highlight that work because Dad's Rock will be speaking at this learning session, and that shows, I think, the high regard in which Government and our partners hold this organisation. And last year I launched the Parenting Strategy, an articulation of the importance of parenting with an aim to strengthen the help and support on offer to parents. Now, Dad's Rock assisted us with the engagement of parents to develop the strategy, and I thank them sincerely for that. Last year we engaged with over 1,500 parents and carers, and around 500 of those were dads. And many of them told us they feel mums get offered support, but dads are expected to just get on with things. And some of those things have been articulated today by Gordon MacDonald and David Torrance. Now, many of them refer to mother and toddler groups, showing, as Graham Day noted, that even the language and terms of phrase that can be used can often make dads feel unwelcome. And speaking as a working mum, where my wee boy is cared for by my husband, I know that me and my family are really careful to try and call the local groups baby and toddlers groups. Now, the views that we received from all parents and carers have been critical in shaping of our national parenting strategy, and have really helped identify the kind and sort of commitments we needed to include. So we have now set up a Fathers National Advisory Panel to help us look at how our policies, services and communities can become much more dad-friendly. And I hope that that move will give reassurance to David Torrance and Gordon MacDonald. And the First Minister announced in September the Early Years Task Force commitment of £18 million over 3 years to improve the provision of family support across Scotland. And the Fathers National Advisory Panel will help to ensure that this family support also meets the needs of fathers. We also recognise the range of important work being delivered by the third sector to support families, and this is why we are investing £20 million through the Third Sector Early Intervention Fund, plus an additional £10 million towards third sector strategic funding partnerships. And as well as the successful organisations who will receive funding through the Third Sector Early Intervention Fund, I am delighted that Families Need Fathers Scotland and Fathers Network Scotland are two of the strategic funding partnerships that will help us improve the support for fathers across Scotland. So in closing, Presiding Officer, investing in parents is not only good for children and young people, it is also good for our communities and for the cohesion and productivity of our country. And working hard to remove the barriers preventing dads from playing their part can only be a good thing in terms of ensuring positive outcomes for our children and young people. We've made a good start, but we're determined to build on this, and we look forward to working with colleagues across the Chamber and with partners like Dads Rock and others to help us achieve that. So finally, I'd just like to thank Gordon MacDonald for bringing this debate to the Chamber today, and to congratulate Dads Rock, the volunteers and all the other dads who take part, and wish them well and every success for the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I now close this meeting of Parliament. Bid you good night.